Welcome to our TOEFL Speaking Tips and Tricks video to improve your topic development. For every question in your TOEFL Speaking to improve your score, as part of TOEFL Talk with NoteFull, episode number 13, lucky number 13, and this is where we go through tips and tricks, critical training, and working with you personally to make sure that you're improving to get your dream score. So I'm Joseph from NoteFull, excited to be with you, and the tips and tricks we're going to learn today to improve your speaking score focus on number one, why. This is really important. This is a big tip. So we're going to go through an example of question number 4 together, at least part of one, to give you a sense of how to train. And so a lot of times when we're answering question 1, 2, 3, and 4, we forget that there are two things that are evaluating us. A computer, which is focused on our delivery, our pronunciation, along with other things, and the grader, a human, a person who's going to score you a 1, 2, 3, or 4, your recording, based on how clear it is, how well it explains your answer to each question. A lot of times in working with you and other students, it's normal that you have a lot of strategy, but we begin to hear, right, people listening to you when you're giving your answers, this language that's saying details and saying information, but not really explaining or creating clarity for the listener. So we tend to forget why we're speaking. So there are two levels to that. The first level is answering the question. We're actually, for question number 1, you're giving an argument, you're explaining yourself. So there's a sense of being persuasive. There's a sense of having someone listen to you and have a sense of, oh, that's a good point. That's a good idea, because question 1 asks for your opinion. Question number 2, that's where you read about an announcement or a change happening on campus and why. And in a conversation, a man or woman, one of the two, will give an opinion. I agree, I like this, or I don't. And you want to explain that as if there's a stranger on the street, as we like to say, who doesn't know anything about the TOEFL and is listening to your recording. So whether they're interested or not, they understand. Here's what's happening on campus, here's why it's occurring, and here's how a student feels about that. Right? So why are you speaking? To create that clarity for the listener. For question number 3 and 4, you become a teacher. You're learning in question number 3 about a topic. Oh, I'm sorry, we're not going to do question 4 today. We're going to do question 3. So question 3 is where you have a reading, and then you have a lecture that illustrates the topic, the concept that the reading was teaching you. So you need to actually become a teacher. So your recording for question number 3 should be teaching what's happening, not just here's what I read and here's what I heard. At the same time, for question number 4, you're doing the same thing. You're getting a discussion on a topic, and you're usually getting, of course, 2 subtopics, like here's how one of the main things companies do is advertise. Here are 2 forms of advertisement that are very common, and then you explain that. So when you remember that, it almost gives everything clarity for you, because it's not strategy first, it's explanation first, yourself as a academic professional, as someone who cares about being clear for your listener. That's going to change your score. Explain and expand is our second major tip. A lot of times we hear when you deliver your answer, if you're not getting your dream score, right? You're scoring an 18 or below, or an 18 to a 22, and you want to jump to a 24, 26, 28, 30 out of 30. There needs to be an ability for you to hear yourself. Right now when I'm speaking to you, I'm not perfect, nobody's perfect, but I'm actually listening to myself, and in a way where, am I being clear? Am I making sense? Am I speaking clearly, slowly? Am I connecting my ideas? Am I doing my job. Because right now, you're here for tips and tricks on the speaking, right? So if I start talking about something else, it's not very satisfying, it's frustrating. So the same thing on your TOEFL speaking. Know your purpose. And so when you explain and expand, it's recognizing, have I said this enough? Did I make my point? Then let me move on. Or let me focus on this a little bit more. So you notice with teachers, YouTube, myself, everybody, we have a tendency to explain more. We tend not to, it depends, everyone's different, move on to the next point because it's so important to feel safe. Okay, I think I explained it well enough, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to say it again. Or I'm going to expand. I'm going to give an example. I'm going to illustrate this. Now, because the TOEFL is timed, you have a lot of pressure. Imagine we know you feel it. I have to say everything. Wrong. If you try to say everything, you wind up saying nothing very clearly. That's why the TOEFL gives you more information than you can say. You're being tested. Do you choose what's important to say? Do you let go, forget, not mention details to create clarity? So when you say something, you want to make sure that you hear yourself and say, yeah, that was clear. Now I don't need to repeat. I don't need to keep talking about it. Time to move on. And repeat. Repeat is the big trick. So to create connection, right? Because that's something really critical. It's dealing with, explanation. Because what happens is there's usually like a 1-2 process in every one of your speaking answers. So what that means is 1, here's a topic, 2, explain the topic. So there needs to be this sense of a pattern of here's the topic. So you say certain words, right? And then when you explain them, you have to say those words again. So one thing that we did in small group tutoring, right, in our online classes, that's really important to get this idea that I really like is think of 3 colors. 3 colors, right? So we'll say blue, black, and yellow, right? So I'll say that, blue, black, and yellow. So you need to repeat that when you give an example of those colors. So let's say to give an example, I'm going to tell you objects that I believe usually have that color, right? Something like that. So I would say my screen so let's repeat that. So blue, so here's my pattern, right? Blue, black, and yellow. So I'll say my shirt, my screen when it's turned off, and my highlighter. Did I repeat anything? No. So I didn't work to get my dream score. I missed the trick for clarity because what I need to say is my shirt is blue, screen when it's turned off is black, and my highlighter is yellow. You see how I said blue, black, and yellow twice? So it's, okay, I'm going to talk to you about a few colors, blue, black, and yellow. And let me give you some examples. My shirt is blue. Okay, I get it, right? Okay, now a computer screen or any screen when it's turned off is black. And my highlighter that I use to highlight things is yellow. So you see how I said those words twice. That is critical, necessary, difficult, and what you do for every question. Now, in small group tutoring, in our online classes, in our self-study training course, we call it the Diamond Course, these things we focus on for hours because it's tough and we need to repeat. So this video, again, is just meant to introduce the idea to you. And if you review it carefully, you'll improve. And we'll talk in the end about how to get more training on this. But now, let's use an example and try to put this together. So the first thing we're going to do is jump into an example, question 3. And now you see question 3 on the screen. So this is exactly what we did today. This is what we're going to do in class. This is a great example reading because on the TOEFL Speaking question number 3, what you get is a reading of about 100 words that defines a concept in biology, psychology, or business. Tends to be one of those, maybe plant biology and things like that. So you have 50 seconds. In these 50 seconds, I want you to read, I want you to take notes on what's important, and I want you to remember why, explain and expand and repeat. So why are you reading this? To learn what it is, not just to read and take notes. Why are you doing that? So that you can explain it clearly like a teacher. Explain and expand. Here, what's important? What do you need to explain? Third, we talked about repeat. So that means you're paying extra attention to the key points of the definition because that prepares you for the lecture, because you're going to get an example, a lecture that gives an example of the placebo effect. And your job is to show how the example illustrates this definition. So you're going to need to repeat. Remember the color idea? So you're saying the definition, which is going to be the color. That's what you're discovering right now. And then when you listen, you're matching, right? Like remember we said blue, black, and yellow. It's like, okay, oh, that's blue, that's black, that's yellow. So you're thinking, okay, here are the important parts of the definition. Now I'm listening. Okay, that part of the lecture represents that part of the definition. So you're doing that as you listen, comprehending like a great student, the great student you are, taking notes on key words so it helps you to explain. And then when you answer, you're prepared to put it all together. So from the beginning, we need to know what we're doing when we answer so we're really efficient and effective. So 50 seconds, deep breath, nice and calm, begin reading and taking notes now. And so a great one, it can be tough. Some things that come up when students see this is they talk about, how do I read so quickly? How do I get the important information? It's tough for me to read and take notes. Did you feel any of that? If you did, then it's important to know that more training is necessary, hours of it, rather than just like an individual video because we got to be guided through it. So one thing to help you if you're feeling like, oh, there's so much to learn, is remember every time you study, right now with this video, you're getting better. So every day keep studying, and even though we're not perfect, nobody's perfect, including myself, you can still improve to your dream score, even if you struggle or make a few mistakes. So now, how do we apply what we just learned with this? You see on the screen, why. Focus more on why you're saying what you're saying for improved connection and word choice. In order for you to explain well, to choose the right words, you want to remember you're not speaking to tell me what you wrote down. You're using your notes to help you explain to me, a stranger, what the definition of the placebo effect is. So, what's the next thing? Explain and expand. Explain means when you speak, did you say something clearly enough for me to understand the placebo effect? Or do you need to add a few more words to help me understand? So explain and expand on each point, because the placebo effect has more than one point to understand. So it's fully clear first. Then move on to the next point. and repeat. So this is preparing you for the lecture. What you're saying is like the colors, red, blue, I'm sorry, blue, black, and yellow. Got to work on my short-term memory there. So when you speak, you do need to use your short-term memory to remember what you said, because that's what you need to improve. Improve fundamental connection by repeating exact words when connecting 2 points. So when you say the lecture, when you explain the story, you need to prepare yourself to repeat some of the key words that you used in the definition. So how does that work? I'm going to scroll down, go through the lecture, and go to the question. So the question for question number 3 will always be something like, explain the concept of whatever you learned, the placebo effect here, using the example discussed in the lecture. You have 30 seconds to prepare, 60 seconds to speak. We want to spend about 17 seconds explaining the reading and the definition, and then 40 seconds explaining the story of the lecture, how it illustrates it, and then 3 seconds concluding. So let's practice the 17 seconds explaining the definition using why, explain and expand as necessary, and also the awareness that I need to repeat that. So you go first and then I go, and we'll go back and forth to train this. Deep breath. Center yourself, calm yourself, repeat after me. I can do it. And explain the placebo effect, starting now. Okay, how'd you do? Now, a lot of times this needs to be trained. A lot. At NoteFull, we talk about review 3, train 50. That means any lesson you're reviewing at least 3 times, like this video, and you're practicing the question in the lesson, this question on placebo effect, 50 times. So like you're going through this 50 times to master, memorize the way you explain well. Then any question you can succeed on. So now my turn. I take my deep breath. I can do it, and I begin. The reading is about the placebo effect, which explains that when people are ill, they can improve because of their expectations of the treatment they're receiving, even if the treatment is inactive. Right? Now, what you are not noticing is a lot of things are happening as I'm speaking. My brain is at full power, thinking critically, nothing easy, and I'm remembering the words that I'm using: ill, improvement, expectation, treatment, inactive. So I'm realizing, okay, I'm going to need to say some of those words again in the story, and I would have my notes there. So my notes will help me with that because I'll have those words there. I'll know to repeat them. The other thing is, as I'm speaking at a speed that I can listen to myself and realize, am I being clear? Right? Okay, I'm making that point, moving on. Making that point, moving on. It's not easy. And so sometimes we feel like, oh, I gotta hurry. But that's destructive to your score because it takes so much critical thinking to give a good answer that speed is just going to eliminate your chance to think like that. So practice this back and forth on your own, and know we're partners. So at the end, I'll share with you how to keep working together and how to beat your TOEFL speaking in any section you struggle with, right? We can do it. Now, it's tough, but I want us to move on. Let's now hear the lecture, and remember, by studying this way, you're prepared for success. Why? Why are you listening to the lecture? For yourself as a student, to have the lecture help you understand the placebo effect better. Explain and expand. Have a sense of what in the story is important. What illustrates the placebo effect? Because that's what you're going to expand on. You're going to answer in a way where the story helps you explain the placebo effect. And repeat. Listen for someone who's ill. Listen for someone with an expectation they're going to get better. Listen for someone who gets better. Listen for the fact that it's actually inactive, their treatment, right? So by doing this well, you're prepared for the story. Now, scratch paper ready. Let's listen nice and comfortable, starting now. Recently, a colleague of mine participated in a psychology experiment that was conducted at a nearby university. The researchers at this university advertised that they were looking for individuals who suffer from chronic lower back pain. The advertisement stated that participants would be exposed to breakthrough technology to help, and all expenses would be paid for. After suffering for many years from crippling lower back pain, my colleague decided to enroll. For 1 month, he was injected in his right leg with a substance that he believed to be the best and newest technology in treating his condition. For the duration of the study, he went regularly to the university for his injections, and each time we talked, he would tell me how good he felt. He talked about how he was finally able to run again, which he had stopped doing since his back had started hurting him many years ago. He couldn't believe that just a few injections had taken away pain that had been plaguing him for years. After the experiment was over, it was revealed to all the participants, including my colleague, that the treatment they had been receiving was inactive, an inactive but safe solution, and not the experimental medication they all thought it was. My friend was stunned. He didn't know what to think about the experiment and his experience. Now it's time in 30 seconds to put this idea together. Why are you speaking? You're a teacher who's going to explain the placebo effect and then use this story from the professor to illustrate it. Explain and expand. Review, knowing, okay, this is important. I want to make sure this is clear. And you notice what details aren't so important. And repeat. Prepare yourself. This is what needs probably months of training for the average student, because it takes that much training before students, by habit, by instinct, repeat well to create the connection necessary for you to raise your score. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to prepare your response. So look at your notes, organize your thoughts, starting now. Now it's time to have some fun. Let yourself feel relaxed. So everybody with me, take a deep breath, relax, center yourself. Right, feel yourself lower that heartbeat. Remember, repeat after me. I can do it. And everybody, you right now, good luck. Begin answering this question now. Congratulations. No matter how you did, pat yourself on the back because right now you're studying hard, you're working to improve, and if something is difficult, that just shows us we're doing an intelligent thing training because we need that help and support. So now I'm going to give my answer as a reference. So again, you can train with this video for 2, 4, 6 hours because you can improve every question 3. They all have the same structure with mastering this question. Your ability to apply the tips and tricks, why, explain and expand, repeat, work for every question. So my turn, I'm going to do my best. I take my deep breath. I can do it, and I begin. The reading is about the placebo effect, which is explained as a phenomenon where people who are ill, when they receive treatment, their belief that the treatment is effective will improve their condition, even if the treatment is inactive. The professor gives an excellent example to illustrate this of his colleague who suffered from extreme lower back pain. This colleague participated in research where he was told he would receive advanced state-of-the-art treatment for his lower back pain. So he expected and believed this would be good treatment for him. After weeks of treatment, his lower back pain was reduced. He felt he could run. He improved. But it turned out the treatment was inactive. So this clearly shows his expectation improved his condition, the placebo effect. So at the end, could have done a little bit better there, but you get the idea. That's still going to be a top scoring answer. You notice how calm I was, just thinking carefully every step of the way. You saw the repetition that I had in the story. And again, this is the training. We just keep doing this over and over. And then that way, when you sit either for your home edition TOEFL or your TOEFL in the test center, you breathe, you stay calm, during the preparation time, you remember what you learned and you'll succeed. You can do it, right? You can speak and answer just as I did and even better. Focus more on why you're saying what you're saying for improved connection and word choice. You notice that today. Explain and expand. It's tough. Speak with calm, focused energy. It's not about all the details. Explain your points. Use the story to expand on what you said in the definition. Explain and expand on each point so it's fully clear first, then move on to the next point. Right now, if you can't do that in 60 seconds, that's okay. That's what the training is for. Hour after hour, month after month to your success. And repeat. You heard the focus on repetition. You heard the example of the colors, which is a really clear illustration of what we need to do. Improve fundamental connection by repeating, adding the exact words when connecting 2 points as necessary. In this question number 3, repeating important key points that you say from the definition in the story. That pretty much concludes our lesson, but a lot more to say on how we can keep moving forward. Make sure in the comment section, we read them, we love seeing them. What will you do from now on to succeed in the speaking as a result of watching this? Be great to read. The next thing, are you ready to keep working together? If you found it's tough, if you felt good with the guidance, let's keep training to get your dream score. Want to let you know, depending on when you watch this video, this coming Monday, February 15th from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and Wednesday, February 17th from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we have our speaking classes. Click on the link below the video to learn more, register, and we're going to go through all 4 questions, 4 hours total. The class will be recorded for you to review, and there's going to be some great extra stuff after class. So click on that link below for that. So the first thumbs up, as usual, goes to you, right? Because you made it to the end of the video. You worked hard. This is not easy. So stay confident in yourself and know that you're doing what it takes to succeed. Bravo to you. And if you like this video, to give us the motivation, it always Feels good to see those thumbs up. If it helped, make sure to hit that thumbs up button for us. Don't forget to subscribe. That way you keep getting these videos and that support. You hit that bell so you get the notifications of our videos. Don't forget Facebook too. If you'd like more help, free help like this, when you follow our Facebook page, you'll see a lot of lessons. We tend to have much more frequent lessons there. Something for you to study once or twice a day. And with that said, click on the link below the video if you'd like to work with us in class. And if you're watching this video after that date that we just mentioned, still click on the link because we have these classes every month for you. So have a wonderful day. Hope to see you in class. Until next time, bye-bye.